Hello friends, I welcome you again to this channel. Friends, in our previous video, we discussed the plot construction of Doctor Faustus. We discussed the summary of the actions which are presented in the play Doctor Faustus. Today, we are going to analyze the character of Doctor Faustus as a tragic hero, as a Marlowean tragic hero. Friends, Christopher Marlowe, who is considered as a very important and influential playwright of the Elizabethan age, has written four great tragedies: Doctor Faustus, Tamburlaine the Great, Edward II, and the Jew of Malta. In all these four great tragedies of Marlowe, we find four gigantic tragic heroes, four immortal tragic characters as presented by Marlowe. Christopher Marlowe, a man of Renaissance, a man of Elizabethan age, was himself a writer, a poet, and an actor in his times. He influenced even William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare learned the art of writing blank verse from Christopher Marlowe. Marlowe was the most representative dramatist of Renaissance of the Elizabethan age. And in this play, the tragical history of Dr. Faustus, we find a very fantastic character, the protagonist, Dr. John Faustus. Dr. John Faustus is one of the immortal tragic heroes in the entire history of English literature. Christopher Marlowe has given other very moving characters, moving tragic heroes like Barabbas, like Tamburlaine, and like Mortimer in his three other tragedies. William Shakespeare's characters like Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, and Othello are equally examples of immortal tragic heroes of English literature. So friends, before we discuss or before we analyze this protagonist, Dr. John Faustus, as a tragic hero, we must first of all get an idea about what a tragic hero is in English literature. Mostly, the readers or the scholars believe that Aristotle's concept of tragic hero was followed by the Elizabethan writers. Aristotle, a great Greek philosopher, he wrote the Poetics, and in this work, Aristotle, the philosopher and the critic, has discussed his conception of tragedy and tragic hero. According to Aristotle, the tragic hero must be a man of reputation. The protagonist, the tragic hero, must be a popular man of name and fame. He must be a reputed fellow. Number two, the tragic hero must arouse pity and fear in the hearts of the readers. Number two. Number three, the tragic hero must not be too good must not be too bad. He must be somewhere in between. He is neither good nor thoroughly bad. He must be a mixture of both good and bad. But this tragic hero must be presented as better than the common men and women like me and you. So he is somewhere up above the ordinary, but not too much good. This is the third quality or characteristic of a tragic hero. The first one, the tragic hero must be a man of reputation, must be a reputed fellow. Number two, the tragic hero must arouse pity and fear in the hearts of the readers, the spectators. Number three, he must be above the average but not too good and not too bad. Number four, and this is the most important characteristic of a tragic hero, and that is hamartia. Friends, hamartia is a Greek term used by Aristotle in his poetics. Hamartia means a fatal flaw. It means one characteristic, one quality in the character, one weakness of the character which brings about the downfall in his life. And this is very important in all tragic heroes. When you examine the great tragic heroes of English literature, you will definitely find this element of hamartia, or one fatal flaw, or you can say a loophole in the character, some drawback in the character. Say for example, if you take Hamlet, Hamlet meets his death, Hamlet meets his tragedy because of his thinking too much. So thinking too much was the hamartia in the character of Hamlet. If you take the example of Othello, Othello meets his tragedy because he is too much suspicious on his wife. So suspicion is the hamartia in Othello's character. Take the example of Macbeth. Macbeth meets his end, meets his tragedy because he is over ambitious in his life. Over ambition is the hamartia in Macbeth's character. Take the example of King Lear. King Lear meets his tragedy because he loves too much. He loves his daughter too much and he is blinded in his love for his daughters. So this blind love for his daughters becomes the hamartia, becomes the drawback which brings about his tragedy. So the point is that you take any example from the whole history of English literature, in all great tragic heroes, you find this element of hamartia. So number 4 is hamartia, some drawback, some loophole in the character. Number 5, sudden change from prosperity to adversity in the life of the hero is presented. Change from happiness to sorrow, from prosperity to adversity. This change in the life of the hero is also an important characteristic of a tragic hero. Another very important thing is that the tragic hero becomes tragic. He moves our hearts when? The tragic hero moves the hearts of the spectators, of the readers, only when the element of struggle or conflict, internal conflict, is presented in this hero. Hamlet is capable enough to to make a sweep, because there is one internal conflict going on in the mind of Hamlet. To be or not to be, that is the question. Dr. Faustus is able to move the hearts of the reader. Why? Because the internal conflict is going on in his mind. I will discuss this later. The conflict represented in the form of two characters, good angel and evil angel. So, conflict or struggle is an important element in a tragic hero. But last is he repents his wrong deeds. The last but not the least is that every tragic hero, at the end of the play must repent for his wrong deeds. So friends, these are some of the common characteristics found in all the tragic heroes of English literature. Okay, now one by one we are going to examine all these characteristics of tragic hero in the character of Dr. John Faustus. The first thing is that in the beginning of the play, Dr. Faustus, the protagonist, is presented as a reputed scholar. He is a well-known and prosperous character as presented in the beginning of the play. We notice his reputation as well as respected scholar in Act 1 and Scene 1. He calls for his servants and students in his speech about various fields of scholarship, which suggests him to be a prosperous intellectual. I have taken these lines from the play. When we read these lines, we come to know that Dr. Faustus was not an ordinary man, was not an ordinary reader. He was a reputed scholar of his times. Read these lines. Philosophy is odious and obscure. Both law and physic are for petty wits. Divinity is basest of the three, unpleasant, harsh, contemptible and vile. It's magic that has ravished me. In the beginning of the play, Faustus learns different branches of knowledge. He learns law, learns medicine, he learns philosophy, he learns history, he learns physics, and he achieves command on all these branches of knowledge. But still he remains dissatisfied with the knowledge that he gathers, because his ambition was to gain power, to achieve power and honor over this universe. And he realizes that all his knowledge that he has gained all through his life are useless, and that's why he turns to magic at the end, and he starts learning necromancy or black magic. As I told you, hamartia or the fatal flaw or the drawback in the character is very important in tragic hero. So the question is, what is the hamartia of Dr. Faustus? And the answer is that his hamartia is his over-ambitiousness. You can compare the character of Dr. Faustus with Macbeth, William Shakespeare's tragic hero Macbeth. Macbeth was over-ambitious. He wanted to achieve power, achieve honor, and he wanted to be the king. Okay, so his ambitions brought about his death, brought about his decline in his life in Macbeth. In the same manner, in case of Dr. Faustus, his ambitions to empower the whole universe. You remember these words which I have written here on the screen. Oh, what a world of profit and delight, of power, of honor and omnipotence is promised to a studious artisan. He wonders. Artisan means a magician. He learns magic. Dr. Faustus learns black magic, necromancy. He says that once I learn all these things, then oh, what a world of profit and delight. He imagines his future, that when I master this art of magic, it will be a world of profit and delight, of power, of honor, of omnipotence. I will achieve power, omnipotence over the whole universe. And this was his ambition, which he achieves. He achieves his dreams, but then the same desire of this power and honor brings about his death. And this desire for learning or desire to achieve power is human nature. But the problem is that the fault with this character, the drawback of this character is that he chooses the wrong path without any feeling of guilty. His ambition to achieve power and honor did not allow him to repent even. He was so confused that he couldn't decide. He could not decide on following the ways of God or the path of Lucifer. He went on a wrong path. Friends, being ambitious is not a problem. Everybody is ambitious in his or her life. But to achieve these ambitions, when a person adopts a wrong path, the path of Lucifer as presented in the play, then he or she is going to be damned forever. This is what we see in the character of Dr. Faustus. Another important thing to note about Dr. Faustus' character as a tragic hero is this comparison of character versus destiny. If you examine the ancient plays, ancient Greek tragedies, then in the ancient Greek tragedies, destiny played a very important role. It was destiny who brings about tragedy in the life of the character in ancient Greek tragedies. But if you read the 16th century plays, Elizabethan plays, English tragedies, then you find here character is more important than destiny. Here, character himself becomes responsible for his own downfall. And Dr. Faustus is an Elizabethan tragedy. Faustus wanted to take destiny in his own hands to enjoy the power of free will against destiny. He passionately demanded Mephistopheles to serve him for 24 years. You mark these lines as presented here on the screen. Mark these lines spoken by Dr. Faustus. He orders Mephistopheles to serve him for 24 years in exchange of his soul. He sells his soul for 24 years, and in exchange he demands these things. I read, having thee ever to attend on me. Having thee means you. Having you to attend on me, to give me whatsoever I ask. He says, whatever I ask, you have to give me, to tell me whatsoever I demand, to slay mine enemies and to aid my friends. You have to kill my enemies and you have to help my friends, and always be obedient to my will. Mephistopheles, you are going to be my servant for 24 years, and you will have to act as per my wish, as per my desires. Go and return to mighty Lucifer and meet me in my study at midnight. He tells Mephistopheles to go to Lucifer with this proposal to sell his soul for 24 years. And these things, bring about the tragedy in his life. Dr. Faustus never wanted to be a puppet dancing in the hands of destiny, despite the fact that tragedy functions paradoxical towards human destiny. In tragedy, paradox is presented. Some unexpected change is presented in the tragedy, and the same thing happened in the life of Dr. Faustus. Faustus loses his soul for the pleasures he enjoyed for 24 years. Internal conflict is an important characteristic of a tragic hero. Here in this play also, this internal conflict of Dr. Faustus is presented by two characters, good angel and evil angel. These are external visible embodiments of the two impulses that are at war within his mind. There was a conflict going on to do this or to do that. This conflict, is very tactfully presented by Christopher Marlowe in the form of two characters, good angel who represents his soul, who represents the good thoughts which are going on in the mind of Dr. Faustus, and evil angel, the character, he represents the evil thoughts which are going on in the mind of Dr. Faustus. So internal conflict is presented here. When Faustus signs his bond with Mephistopheles, there also we find the conflict is going on in his mind. Evil angel tempts Faustus with the power he is promised by the devil, while the good angel reminds him of the dangers of his behavior. So this good angel and bad angel, they keep on expressing the internal conflict of Dr. Faustus. But when Dr. Faustus signs the bond, later he realizes his mistakes and he starts wavering what to do and what not to do. At this time, his conflict is expressed by these two angels. The evil angel says, "It's too late, now you cannot repent." But good angel says, "Never too late, it's never too late if Faustus can repent." So, good angel, inspires Faustus to still repent. Good angel says that you still have some time left to repent for your wrong deeds in your life. But evil angel again comes and says, "If thou repent, devils shall tear thee in pieces." So, evil angel threatens Dr. Faustus, but good angel says, "No, you repent and they shall never raise thy skin. They won't be able to, harm you. Still you can repent." So, to repent or not, this conflict, internal conflict, is presented by these two characters, evil angel and good angel. Another important quality of a tragic hero is that the tragic hero must be able to arouse the feelings of pity and fear in the hearts of the readers. And Faustus is a tragic hero who evokes our pity, who arouses pity in us. We feel some form of connection with him. This is the greatness of a tragedy, that the tragic hero must be presented in such a manner, that slowly and gradually as the drama advances, the spectators develop a kind of intimacy with the tragic hero. And because of this development of intimacy, the spectators or the readers sympathize with the character when the characters fall down from prosperity to adversity. He wants to gain more knowledge. Faustus wants to gain more knowledge. That is another part of human condition. Why do we develop intimacy with the tragic hero? We develop intimacy, we sympathize with the character, with the tragic hero only when we feel that this man, this tragic hero is just like a common man like me. Then and then only we sympathize. And that's why in the beginning of this lecture, I told you that this is the prime characteristic of a tragic hero, that he must not be too good and must not be too bad, must be somewhere above the average. Okay? And when he is looking like us, when he acts like us, when he feels like us, we develop this intimacy with the character. And Faustus is undoubtedly such a character who wins our sympathy. His ambition to empower the whole world is also a common ambition that we have in our life. In our society also, we find that in our life also we have some ambitions to achieve. So these are some human qualities, which make him a real character, which make us sympathize with this character. We sympathize with Dr. Faustus because his feelings are similar to other human beings like me and you. We sympathize with him at the end of the drama when Lucifer comes to snatch away his soul. This is a very tragic moment presented at the end of the play. Though he has many faults, but we really want God not to be so fierce, not to be so angry towards this character. When he speaks these lines, these lines move our hearts. These lines make us weep sometimes. I quote these lines, "O soul, be changed to little water drops." Remember, Dr. Faustus is about to die. He is on the verge of his death. Lucifer has arrived to take away soul from his body, and at that time, all of a sudden, Dr. Faustus realizes that this is my end. When his end comes near, he requests all the elements to save him from Lucifer, from Mephistopheles, from the devils. And he speaks these lines, "O soul, be changed to little water drops and fall into the ocean." He hails his soul to change into a little drop of water and fall into the ocean so that Lucifer won't be able to catch his soul. Never be found. My God, look not so fierce on me. He requests God not to be angry on him. When he cries in this manner, this makes us so moving. These lines, move our hearts. Not only this, he requests all the elements of nature to save him from Lucifer. Read these lines. "Stand still, you ever moving spheres of heaven." He requests the planets, all the planets in the sky. Remember, it's the time of night, at midnight, at 12 o'clock. And he tells all the planets, moving spheres of heaven, to stand still. He requests time to stop, that time may cease. Cease means stop, and midnight never come. He requests the planets to stop so that the time will stop and the midnight will never come, and then he will be saved. Fair nature's eye, rise again and make perpetual day. He requests nature to make this day a perpetual, a permanent, and eternal day, so that it will not strike 12 o'clock at midnight. Because as per the bond, when the clock strikes 12 at midnight, his time is over and Lucifer will snatch away his soul. But he requests the planets to stop time. He requests nature to stop time so that the clock will not strike 12. You make this perpetual day. He tells the nature to make the day perpetual, or let this hour but a year, a month, a week, a natural day. Anticlimax is found in this line. Let this time, this moment be 1 year. If not a year, then a month. If not a month, then a week. If not a week, then a day, that Faustus may repent and save his soul. He requests nature to give him 1 day to repent for his wrong deeds. But friends, it was too late, and it strikes 12 at midnight, and the moment it strikes 12 at midnight, Lucifer comes and takes his soul away, and he dies, and the tragedy comes to the end here. All in all, let's conclude the whole discussion by saying that, in the character of Dr. Faustus, we find Marlowean conception of tragic hero. Marlowean conception of tragic hero mostly follows Aristotle's concept of tragic hero, in which hamartia, a fatal flaw or some drawback is found. Here Dr. Faustus' drawback is that he is over ambitious, and these over ambitions bring about decline in his life, bring about tragedy in his life. So friends, here I finish this discussion on Dr. Faustus as a tragic hero. If you have any questions or doubts, you can write to me in the comment section of this channel. Thank you very much.